no doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Where are my most beautiful queens in the house? Where are my most beautiful queens in the house?
Hey everybody, it's your girl Jamilah. Welcome to the Queen's Address. Welcome into the Queendom. I'm so excited today because today we have a very special guest. She is the owner of Pivot Boutique on High Street in Columbus, Ohio. Miss Nicci Hicks, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Jamilah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. So let's get right into it. So when did you start Pivot?
So Pivot's always lived in me, I'll say that. But I started Pivot, we opened in the summer of July 2022. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was that journey like?
You know, it was a lifelong journey. So growing up, you know, people ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a lawyer or go into fashion. And so I chose the legal route to begin with. But each time I climbed that corporate ladder and kept thinking about a career in fashion, and I've always enjoyed connecting with people in the cities I've lived in, connecting with people specifically at boutiques. Mm-hmm. And so I said, you know, one day I want to do that. Mm-hmm. And then during the pandemic, I just said, you know what? I had this really horrible dream, and I woke up and I said, I don't want to live with any lingering regrets. Now is the time. Mm-hmm. So it was a journey getting there, I think, in terms of getting the bravery together. And then the next step was figuring out how to build this business and make it work.
That's awesome. And then look what we have.
Yes, now we're here.
And so I love the store and the design. The words that came to mind when I came in for the first time was masterpiece of minimalism. Shout out to Love Jones. Yeah. But I said, okay, did you design this space yourself, or did you have a designer come in and help you with the space?
So I had an idea of what I wanted. One, I really wanted the space to feel clean and open, and pay homage to the neighborhood that we're in, which is a historic arts neighborhood, and also have a way to share the stories about the brands that are in store, because we're very intentional about the brands that we carry and why. And so I connected with my branding strategist, who then connected me with one of her brilliant collaborators, who is an architect, and she helped me bring this vision to life, and ensuring that we had a very clean and open space that paid homage to the visitors, paid homage to the brands, as well as made the visitors feel welcome and seen and heard when they walked into our doors.
No, that's awesome. Now, have you always loved fashion? Has it always been in you to do fashion?
Yes, I'll say that at a young age, I discovered the transformative power of wearing what you love, by mixing and matching pieces from my parents' closet with my closet, and actually wearing them outside to school. It just made me feel a certain way. It was almost like my art form. So I've always loved fashion in that regard. And then just watching movies growing up, coming to America, and just seeing, like, for example, there's just so much beauty and color and art in the wardrobes, and I gravitated towards that. I didn't really learn as much about fashion and designers like Ann Lowe until later on in my life, but I just really saw the influence of our culture at a young age, and tried to emulate that with some of the pieces that I would wear, and then realized, later on, like, there's a name for this, and it's the fashion industry. So
Absolutely. And so you create space for African American designers. Can you talk a little bit about why that's so important to you?
Yes. So it was so important to me, you know, I know it's such a blessing to be able to do what I want to do, not only once, you know, in terms of being a lawyer, but twice in terms of opening the store. But it's also so important for it to live up to your values. And so those values to me have always been inclusivity and belonging. So I wanted to ensure that we had brands in store that represented those values. So those that are inclusive, so Black owned, female owned, minority owned, as well as those that have an eye towards sustainability because of the impact that the fashion industry does have on our environment. So
that's deep.
Yeah.
Very intentional.
Yes, very intentional. Very intentional.
And I wanted to ask you too, I love the name Pivot.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to call the store Pivot?
Yes. So it's funny. Once I decided to make this transition, I would sit home at night. My husband and I would brainstorm various like name ideas, a mixture of our kids' names and the street that I grew up on. But then one day I just said, well, what if I just call it Pivot? Because I'm making an intentional and a really big pivot from one career to a next. And it's so important in our lives and in our careers to never be caught standing still. And pivot in corporate life and just in general, I feel like is a commonly used word for wherever you are in your journey. And it's okay to pivot. Mm-hmm. So that was really the idea behind the word pivot, is one, my career pivot, and just really representing the fact that it's okay to make pivots and we will transition, because if there's one constant in life, it's change.
And it's not always the safe route.
It's not always,
but it's the bold route.
It's the bold route.
I'm making a statement. I'm doing what I love.
Yes.
And saying, you know what? I know it's out of the box of what everyone knows me to do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to do my purpose and do my assignment. Yes. And I think that's why, I think that's why this space is so special, because you can tell the love is in the details. Yeah. And so you started out as an attorney. Mm-hmm. And so what was that journey like? What was your attorney journey like?
It was, I'll say I love being an attorney. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. And I always tell people, like, I didn't run from anything. Mm-hmm. I ran to something else that I wanted to do, right? And so being an attorney was great. I started my career off in DC working for a big law firm, where you didn't see a lot of people who look like us there. But I had a lot of great mentors who were there, some who look like us and some who don't, some women and some who were not. And it was honestly the best way to start my career and my journey, because I learned how to think critically. As a litigator, you're put into certain environments in certain industries where you have to learn them from the top down and really in order to really understand the issues that you're trying to solve and answer for your clients. So being very learned was really critical. So I feel like that played a critical part in my journey today. Mm-hmm. But it was great. I mean, I was a white collar criminal defense attorney, and then I balanced that out with some civil rights litigation, which was phenomenal, and I loved it. And then my husband and I moved to Columbus about 12 years ago, went in-house to work for a couple big companies and really enjoyed that as well. And then transitioned over to the business side of one of those companies. And that's where I think I really thought critically about starting the business, because I realized I can do it. And I firmly believe that when we're put in unique positions or new positions or positions that may even make us feel uncomfortable, that's when we really learn what we're capable of. And that's when we can really grow.
Yeah, it has to scare you a little bit.
It has to scare you a little bit.
Or you know what I mean? I'm telling you, it's like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's right.
I'm going to have faith, though.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so I feel like being a lawyer really helped me develop that courage, because there were so many times where I was in spaces where I was the only one, or I'd be sitting in a conference room getting ready for a deposition, and people wouldn't think that I was a lawyer. Or when I would meet someone in person, it's like, oh, you're Nicci. You're who I've been talking to. Wow. Yes. So that was before there was Zoom, right? Of course, you could Google our name and figure out who we were. But yeah, so it was great.
Right. And so the store is incredible. And so a couple of people have described your store as a quiet luxury store. And so what are your thoughts about that?
So I think quiet luxury, of course, has been trending, right, for the past couple of years. And what I really look at as is we're a store where people can really develop their individual style. So while a lot of our pieces don't have brand names across, or like the brand's logos across the bag, right, but they are really made from high quality materials. And so what I really pride myself on is finding those pieces for people where they can help develop their own personal style. So with unique pieces. So I love denim, and I love having some novelty denim. So a really cool barrel leg denim that can work for someone, or a really cool shoe, or a really nice bag. So not necessarily a quiet luxury in terms of the trend, but really helping people be very intentional about finding pieces that help them develop and refine their personal style.
Absolutely. I love the store because of you don't see a bunch of names across the shirts and down the leg, and and it's just like, okay, it's about for me, I'm someone who enjoys the texture of fabric. I enjoy the feel of it when the wind blows and things like that, and how it feels against my skin when it warms up a little outside.
Yes.
And so it's you can find a little bit of everything in the store, whether it's a baby shower, if you have to go to a wedding, if you have to go, you know, to the office. You know what I mean? And so they're like so many pieces here. How do you go about selecting, you know, and curating really, you know, what you're going to, you know, have on display?
Yeah, so I start really kind of with that, looking through the lens of one, does the brand align with our values, right? So is it an inclusive brand? Is it a brand that has an eye towards sustainability? So that's what I really start with. And then I look and see, okay, what clients do I have, or how many pieces can I find from this collection that work with our brand and our style, and that our clients will also enjoy? Is this something unique that they're not going to find someplace else? Is there something about this fabric that's unique? You mentioned texture. There's this really beautiful vest and pants that we just got in from one of the brands that we carry, Sayaka Davis, and the texture of it is so beautiful, and people gravitate towards it, and they feel it, and they're unsure of what fabric it is, but it's cotton and linen. And it's just this beautiful blend. So that's what I really look for when pulling pieces for the store and identifying those brands. So is it unique? Is it something that can live in their wardrobe for a long time? Is it versatile? Is it something that they can wear for dinner? Is it something they can wear to work? Is it something they can wear on the weekend with their kids? And really ensuring that people can find pieces that are versatile, because they are making an investment in a number of pieces that we do have in our store.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have my eye on a few things
Yes.
as well. And so how have you built confidence or resiliency over the course of your career?
I think that just really starting at a young age, when I was a young girl, I faced a lot of adversity through various challenges. And that really helped shape and prepare me for my career, as a lawyer and then here. So it's really just a matter of staying grounded, right? And stepping back. If I see something or hear something that may cause me to react a certain way or cause me to feel a certain way, I try not to react or respond to it immediately. I take a step back and I think, why do I feel this way about something? Like if we had a bad day at the store, or the sales were low, or there weren't any sales, and I think, okay, stop, acknowledge your feelings. Why do they exist, and what can you do to fix them? So that's really kind of the steps that I have always gone through, to just help me navigate the roller coaster of life and in business as well.
Right. No, that's helpful. And so how do you balance your personal life with your career? Because I know you're very busy. Yeah. And so I'm sure the viewers want to know, okay, how is she doing everything?
Yeah.
You know?
So I always feel like, especially when I was in the corporate world, people would use that term balance, right? And I feel like balance is a myth. I don't really feel like it exists, because you have to give up one thing for the other.
Okay.
But really, it's a matter of prioritizing.
Okay.
What you need to manage in your life. So my husband has a very busy career as well. We have 2 kids. So it's just a matter of, okay, working together to work to accomplish a common goal, right? And so what are his goals? What are my goals? And just looking out towards our village. But I really feel like balance is such a hard thing to accomplish. And if you're constantly working to strive for that, something's going to be amiss, something's going to be awry, and you're going to miss out something that is actually a true priority for you.
Exactly.
But I do really try to dedicate, for example, time on the weekends for my family, like Sundays. That's our time together as a family. Our kids have sporting events, so we go to those. We'll go to church, go to brunch, and just really try to find that time together. And also try to find time for myself, because I know that if my cup is empty, I can't pour into the business, I can't pour into the family. So there are certain things that I also try to do to help maintain my my own like internal well-being.
That's awesome. No, I just learned something.
Yeah.
And so do you, when you have clients that come in and someone says, okay, Nicci, I don't know what I'm doing, will you help me do everything? Do you style clients as well? Do you take on individual clients and say, okay, I can create a look for you with pieces and here?
Yeah, so we'll do that. People will come into the store and they'll see something and say, I really like this, but I don't really quite know how to wear it. So that's when it gets really fun.
Okay.
And just help them reimagine it. I'll do try-on sessions like through our Instagram, and just for people who are who aren't local, but who want to see how something works. So I'll say, hey, I'll show you how this works, how I would wear it. Or if I know your closet, I'll make certain recommendations about a piece for them and just help them reimagine it. But in a way that aligns with their personal style and their comfort zone. Because I feel like that's so important when it comes to style. How you feel in something is how you're going to show up.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I wanted to ask too, as a entrepreneur, we're going to switch gears into entrepreneur mode. And so how do you deal with anxiety or doubt as an entrepreneur?
So I use that 3-step method, essentially. 1, acknowledging those feelings, because those feelings are real. And if we ignore them, then they'll just fester. That's exactly right. And that's not good for anyone.
And eat away at your life.
Yes. And then asking, okay, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
And that's an important part of the journey, to then answer, what can I do to fix it? But pausing and acknowledging those feelings is such a critical part of the process. So that's one. The other thing is I journal. I'm really big on gratitude and acknowledging what I'm grateful for and why. And also if there are times, like I've had these times as of recent where I feel like I haven't been showing up in areas of my life where I need to and where I should be more present. And I thought, okay, why and what can I do to fix that? And I love writing letters to people. So I've just started writing notes and letters to those who I may not see as often or I may not talk to as often because I'm, trying to manage the business, family, and other obligations. So what can I do to still stay connected in a way and still show up for them and show them that I'm still around and I'm still here. So just finding those things that still bring me inner peace and joy.
And so you have excellent taste in fashion.
Thank you.
And as we all know, but you have excellent taste in music as well. And we talked a little bit off camera, but what are some of your influences in choosing music? Because I love the playlist when I come in here every time.
So my dad was a huge influence in my appreciation for various genres of music. He was a self-trained musician, and then he became a classically trained pianist. And he was that person who could teach himself to play almost any instrument. So growing up, when I wanted to listen to certain things on the radio, he'd say, "No,
right.
I'm like, "Dad, I don't want to hear that."
Like a piece of clay.
Yes. But then I was like, "Oh, I hear that in this song," and so it was just nice to see the influences of a B.B. King, a John Lee Hooker, and others in some of the music that plays out today. So that he was a huge influence on me. So jazz, blues, hip hop. My first CD that ever in life was a hip hop CD that he bought me when I was really young. I was like, I don't know about this, but it's when was still one of my favorite CDs. So music is all a vibe, and it's all about like your mood. And so I really do play into that a little bit. So if I need to get stuff done, I'll play something low key, like some jazz or some blues. And I just noticed a shift in my mood and a shift in my focus.
Well, what are you listening to right now?
Oh my gosh.
What's the latest full album stream?
So of course, Cowboy Carter, right? And so there's that. And I listened to it in the store and I couldn't hear it quite well. And then I listened to it on the way home, in my car, and then in my headphones. And there's a song, Yaya. And that song right there, I thought my dad would have loved this song because I feel like you can channel music from the 50s, from the 60s, from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Exactly.
All throughout that song in and of itself. And you just see the influence that each generation has had on that song, and then just in music in general. So that's probably the last album that I listened to beginning to end. I'm also a really big Daniel Caesar fan.
Daniel Caesar is everything.
Yeah.
And her, I love her.
Yes. Oh, and her, she is so talented.
Like incredible.
Her range, vocally.
Killing the game.
And you see the influences that artists have had on her. So I love her as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so I met you at the Standing on Business event at the Sarah Gormley Gallery. You were on the guest speaker panel, and I was so impressed with how you were willing to share information and resources and et cetera, et cetera. And so it made a very powerful impact on me. It really did. And I said, okay, this sister has the glow. Okay. and I felt like that because you just didn't gatekeep anything. Like you were eager to share your journey, what you've learned, just whatever you had, you opened up and gave it your all. And it something that we don't really see, often with other, and I'm just going to come right out and tell the truth, the other Black women in certain circles, it's sometimes competitive,
right.
But you want to see other Black women win.
Yes.
And so why is it important for you to offer what you know to others?
Yes. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us.
Come on now.
I mean, period, right? I grew up, my grandmother, I shared this in the beginning, was a huge influence on my life. And she was a teacher and then pivoted to being a hairdresser. And her shop in Chicago was in the back of her house. So seeing how she showed up for those women who showed up time and time again, I mean, well through their 70s and 80s, was just, it had such an influence on me. So seeing her uplift others definitely played a critical role in who I am at my core. I'm all about community over competition. And I think that it is my responsibility to help others in any way, whether that is sharing connections, whether that is sharing resources, whether that's sharing information. If I don't have it or if I don't know it, I will try to find someone else who can connect you with that information or access to what you may need. I just think, again, it's just I'm not here. I'm only here because of those who have helped me. So it is upon me to help others as well.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And so what is something that people would be surprised to know about you? Can you play the ukulele or?
Oh gosh, no.
Horse? Are you a equestrian or like people be like, oh?
So the funny thing is the music, Gene skips right over me and went to my daughter. So I have an appreciation for music. I cannot sing, I cannot play, I can't do any of those things. I would say, I don't know. Like this is always a hard question.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm an open book, right? And so I share a lot with people. Yeah. I'd say I was a big athlete growing up.
Okay.
I'm very petite. So people are like kind of surprised when they hear that. So I played basketball competitively.
Oh, wow.
I ran track. And I played golf really competitively as well.
Okay.
But so those are probably some of the biggest surprises. And also I love to read.
Yeah.
That's not
but
that I
no,
don't
me
think
too.
those are really surprises. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes you on a journey.
It does.
And it's like, you can imagine how the movie would be.
Yes.
I love novels.
Yes.
I love self-help and stuff, but oh my gosh, bookworms for life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, and what's next for Nicci Hicks? What's coming down the line next?
What's next? Just continuing to try to scale the business, honestly. I try to take it one day at a time. I am looking for opportunities to scale the business, right? Add additional revenue streams. So doing more writing, doing potentially like more direct personal styling. So outside of the store,
okay,
which I really love. Again, I love connecting with those people. And I think that's it for right now. Just really trying to grow the business, trying to grow our online presence, because we do have a lot of great brands that I think I'd love to share more with the world, and just giving access to them. So
okay. So would you be open to like set work and things like that if they had to call and say, will you come down? We have a few actors and
yeah, I would love that.
We don't know what this personality should look like or that personality, and we have a few pieces here, but we need you to do it.
Absolutely.
You would do that?
I would love that because it's just, you have the power to tell the story through what you wear. And that character, like we're each characters, we're each our own people. And so what we wear tells that story of who we are, like how we're feeling that day. And I think that's so important. Like when I read a lot of novels as well. And I appreciate when an author will write what they're wearing because it gives me an understanding for a little bit of understanding for who they are, right? And if they don't, then I honestly imagine kind of what they're wearing. So that's such an important aspect of a person's character and their personality.
Oh no, that's super cool. And so do you have social media that we could share with the viewers?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So our store's website is shopatpivot.com. Our social media is shopatpivot. So it's SHOPATPIVOT on both Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, which I feel like, I'm a millennial, an older millennial, so I'm still learning TikTok a little bit. My daughter says I need to do a little bit more there, but we're active there as well.
Absolutely. And so I have here a little something I was going to read.
Yes.
And so it says, let's set the tone for the day. Okay, we're talking sanity over vanity, raising the bar on how we feel, and lifting our spirits. Did you come up with that?
So I did not write that directly myself, but
Okay.
what I did was, branding is so important for the store and personally. And so I met with this amazing branding strategist who we had this workshop, and she used a lot of the words that I shared and a lot of my why, and helped put that together. And so I edited it with her, and I was like, this is who we are. And at first she was like, I was unsure how you respond. I'm like, no, this is it, because I don't want anything where it says, just come and find, certain pieces for your wardrobe. It's more than that, right? It's really about setting the tone for the day, because in corporate world, the excitement for my day has always been picking out what I'm going to wear, because that really sets the tone for how I'm going to show up. And so that to me is like a big part of our manifesto. And so that's why it starts that way.
I love these words.
Yeah.
And I had to read them because it seemed, here's our word again, intentional.
Yeah.
But I noticed something about just the business, and also just with, it seems like everything has a meaning to it. Like every little thing down to the details has a meaning or a purpose behind it. And I just think it's very special.
Yes, thank you.
And so who are some of your biggest influences overall?
Ooh, biggest influences overall. I would say, I shared this the other day. So one who's not with us anymore, my brother. So lost him at a young age, and he was a big part of the reason why I live life like I do, because life is short. And so when I said I don't want to live with any lingering regrets, I didn't want to leave this life not satisfying this urge and this desire and this instinct that I've always had to build Pivot. And so one, he's a big influence. My dad was also another major influence, because he said, after losing my brother, he essentially raised me to be almost like the son and the daughter, right? And so it was really great to have someone pour into me and really push me, encourage me to pursue those dreams that I've always had. So he always knew that I wanted to have a store. So when I was in law school, he sent me this book that was about starting a retail store. And so that was back in the early 2000s. And so that was great, just for him to see the influence that fashion has had on me and say, you can do this too. You're doing the law thing now. This is always going to be, you can always pursue something else if you want to. And then my grandmother, she was a teacher, and she was the first entrepreneur that I ever met. And so she really showed me quite a bit.
Thank you. Nicci
Thank
Hicks,
you.
thank you. You're such a powerful queen.
Thank you.
I want you to continue to win, because you are killing the game.
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to the Queen's Address. We'll catch you next time. Peace, King. Peace, Queen.
Queen